Do you guys get it yet? Do you understand? No, seriously. I'm gonna write up some things every once in a while, and I'll throw them in what we'll consider after each video the appendices. I'm gonna kind of keep track of this shit, so I can really dive into certain aspects that may need some more explaining. And the one I'm working on right now is the stones of the mind. Remember how Dove placed them in that circle, and then that's where he had the cauldron in which Aruin was born? I described those stones as being different fragments from each realm inside the circle. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk about that, what that really means more. Also, I want to make one last point clear with the circle. You gotta forgive me, man, because when I'm doing this shit, it's years of fragmentary thoughts. It feels like this. It feels like every time I talk about the circle, it's all these papers, and every paper here is over the years. So I'm always trying to compile and trying to find the base concept behind it, but generally it's not really. It always seems to be changing. So that kind of makes it difficult when I'm trying to tell you about this, because I'm like, yeah, it could be this, could be that. Because there were times where in the circle when he's making Arwen, it was described as a slab, but then it was described as a cauldron. But then he was on the ground, the bare ground where the stone truly lies. It's just like, I don't know which one's 100% right. You know what I mean? Like, they all could be in some sense. I don't really know. So thusly, I'm going to try to create an appendices that'll go along with this series, and then that way we can kind of go back and just try to make sense of this a little bit more. And hopefully in the appendices we can get some fucking comments that'll start throwing out what needs to be explained better. Because then I can do that there, and I don't mind doing that, because that's the whole fucking point. If I want someone to read all this shit, well, they gotta understand it first. So, alrighty, here we go. This is just for the appendices when it comes to the stones of the mind. As to the description of the stones of the mind, these are merely fragments taken from each realm that exists in the circle, or rather parts of the cauldron. Now, this cauldron is where we can think the portal exists. A place that would allow transcendence. A place that would allow the passage between worlds. Now, to make it clear, there is one circle we speak of in the realms. One place that is of the same material as the mortal realm that exists for Yuandra. But the fractal nature of the circles that exist in and around are merely dimensional shifts. Meaning mind and body must change, as it did when Do transcended to the far reaches of the dimensional realms with Aruin. Now back to the stones, and to the cauldron. The reason we would call it the cauldron is merely for simplicity's sake, as the cauldron is the basis of creation, the basis of birth, and the true birth of knowledge. For it is the fires that warm the cauldron in which the cooking of the mind can begin. In this are described the stones of the mind. They are the fragments or the foundation of that reality which they were, harvested in Dove's case. These stones are then taken into the astral realm where they are laid out in his ritualistic practice, meaning it would mirror the layout of the circle. Each stone, as we said previously, was taken from the center of creation, from each realm. Their significance is they would have upon them the essence of the dead souls that transcended through that portal, being life and death within each plane of existence, just as we do. And the Titans made sure their bodies would go back to the source. So these portals were created to just take their death and the souls back to God, to the Creator. Now the stones have the essence of the dead upon them, and through Dove's ritual he will invoke their essence to enter the cauldron where the mind is being created. That mind would then draw from the souls and take shape into the vessel it was meant to be. The consciousness of the Anaku in this case. That consciousness, having a home, now can be placed into the hive mind of the Anaku. So in short, these stones, now called the stones of the mind, are merely a conduit of life and death, one that exists in each realm inside the circle. Pass through the trials and hold within them fragments of soul and spirit. Eventually they would be used as doorways for each realm, but that will come in time. I think that's quite simple. I just kind of wanted to lay out the last thing about the circle. There's just one circle that has physical realms that these bodies can work in. The fractal nature, all the other circles above and below, This one, that's dimensional. That means mind and body has to change to transcend. We need a new vessel, okay? So the beings can pass into each area here, and they can keep growing and growing and growing until transcendence comes, but each one of these circles is a realm, and each realm has its own portal to allow passage back and forth until finally they can go back to the universe, in a sense. So that's like the crossroads. That would be infinity. The stones of the mind just are the foundation of each realm. It's more of a symbolic, but you could think of it like each realm is being held up by this great massive stone, and he's just pulling apart them and makes the cauldron within these, like the cauldron pot is actually, I would think of it is the stone itself. So each of these stones put together creates the cauldron, not thrown into the cauldron, but it could be thrown into the cauldron. I'm not really sure how that works right now. Hopefully that made it a little clear, at least in terms of the stones of the mind. But I will try to keep adding to this anytime I feel like I need to describe a few things. So this will just keep growing. So it's just gonna be called Forgotten Appendices, and it'll kind of be videos in conjunction with the series that we're doing. So I'll see you in more of the videos later.